a no-brainer for those who stay at Marriott properties regularly. It also has one feature that can make the card appealing to a much wider group of people. Did you know that there is only one hotel co-branded credit card available in the UK? And in today's video, I'm gonna tell you all about the Marriott Bonvoy credit card from American Express and why I think it can be a no-brainer for those people who stay at Marriott properties regularly. And by the way, Marriott is the biggest hotel chain in the world. However, this card also has one feature that has nothing to do with Marriott, and it can make the card appealing to a much wider group of people. I myself used to toy with the idea of getting this card specifically because of that feature. Before we jump into the benefits, I want to call out that this card carries an annual fee of £95, which has unfortunately been increased because in the past it used to be £75. However, the card is also temporarily until November 14th is offering an increased welcome bonus of 40,000 Marriott Bonvoy points, which we're going to talk about just in a few minutes. Let's get started and look at the Marriott specific benefits of this card first, before moving on to why the card could be interesting even to people who don't stay at hotels. So in my opinion, the biggest Marriott related perk of this credit card is the fact that it gives you a credit of additional 15 elite nights that count towards your status in the Marriott Bonvoy program. To give you a bit of a background, Marriott Bonvoy is the loyalty program of Marriott hotels, and it has 5 levels. In order to get silver, which is the lowest level, you need to stay at Marriott properties for at least 10 nights in your membership year. Then gold is going to require 25 nights. For platinum, you're going to need 50 nights. And finally, titanium and ambassador are going to require 75 and 100 nights respectively. And obviously, the higher you are in the program, the more benefits and perks you're going to get when staying at Marriott properties. And so having the Marriott Bonvoy credit card from American Express is going to mean that your counter of elite nights is going to start from 15 instead of starting from 0, which means that you automatically get silver status, and then you only need 10 additional nights to get gold and only 35 to get platinum, and so on. To be fair, the silver status that you get automatically is fairly useless because the only guaranteed benefit that it gives you is the fact that you're going to get an additional 10% Marriott Bonvoy points whenever you stay at Marriott properties. We're going to talk about the Marriott Bonvoy points and what they're worth a little bit later on. But the next status, which is gold, is a little bit better because first of all, it gives you an additional 25% Marriott Bonvoy points, but also it offers late 2 p.m. checkout and an upgrade to a better room. However, the latter two benefits are not guaranteed and are subject to availability and how busy the hotel you are staying at is on the day when you are there. So for example, I do have the Marriott Bonvoy Gold status through my American Express Platinum card, which gives it to you automatically. And the last time I stayed at a Marriott property was this year, actually in September, so just a couple of months ago. It was the Renaissance Hotel in Barcelona, and at check-in, I was upgraded from my standard room, which I booked, to the superior room, which is the next sort of category. It was a very minor upgrade because the rooms are almost the same, but it was still a nice touch. And then on my last day at the hotel, I asked at reception if I could get late checkout, and they confirmed that I can stay until 2 p.m., which is an extra 2 hours, thanks to my Marriott Bonvoy Gold status. So on this occasion, it all kind of went well, and I was able to use my Gold status to the full. But again, the upgrade and the late checkout perks are not guaranteed, and the only guaranteed thing that the Gold status gives you is the additional 25% Marriott Bonvoy points. However, where things get really interesting with Marriott is with their Platinum status. So with the Platinum status, you get free breakfast. You also get guaranteed 4 p.m. late checkout, which I think is an incredible benefit. For example, if your flight back home leaves late, this 4 p.m. checkout can make the last day of your trip just so much more comfortable. In addition to that, if the hotel that you're staying at has an executive lounge, you'll also get complimentary access to that lounge. And finally, you'll get 50% extra Marriott Bonvoy points, which is up from 25% and 10%, which gold and silver status offer respectively. But that is not all, because when you reach the 50 nights that are required for the Platinum status, you'll be able to choose one additional benefit out of the following list. So number one that you can choose is to get 5 suite night awards, which means you can get upgraded to a standard suite from whatever room you booked for up to 5 nights. And obviously you don't have to use all these 5 nights all at once. You can split them across different stays. But the best part about this perk is the fact that this upgrade can be requested and confirmed up to 5 days before your arrival, which sort of makes it a guaranteed upgrade because you know that you'll be upgraded several days before you arrive into the hotel. And obviously this is in addition to the unlimited non-guaranteed upgrades that you can get on the day of check-in, similar to what you get with the gold status. Alternatively, instead of this benefit, you can choose to get a $1,000 discount on a Marriott branded bed. I don't know how good of an alternative it is because it actually never crossed my mind to get a hotel branded bed, and I have no idea how much those cost. If anyone has looked into this or maybe has done this, definitely let me know in the comments. Another alternative that you can choose is to give silver status to a friend of yours. But this one, again, as I mentioned, silver status is pretty much useless, so I don't think this benefit holds up against, for instance, the 5-night suite awards. Another alternative that you can opt for is to get Marriott to donate $100 to a charity on your behalf. And then finally, you can also choose to get a credit of additional 5 elite nights. This is similar to the 15 elite nights that the Marriott Bonvoy credit card gives you. I guess this can be useful if you're going towards Titanium, which is the next elite level, and you are a little bit short. If you do have the Marriott Bonvoy Platinum status or higher, let me know in the comments which one of these 5 benefits you think is the most valuable, or if you don't, just let me know which one of the 5 you would pick if you had this status. Personally, if I did have the Platinum status with Marriott, I think I would definitely go with the first option and get the 5 semi-guaranteed upgrades to a suite. But overall, I think the Platinum status is a pretty big jump from Gold. And if you're a person who already stays at Marriott properties for like 30 or 35 nights a year, then getting the Marriott Bonvoy credit card from American Express should be a no-brainer to you, because the additional 15 elite nights that this card gives you will push you over into the Platinum status, and you'll get all these great benefits like the 4 p.m. checkout, the free breakfast, potentially the suite upgrades, the executive lounge access, and so on. And in that case, again, assuming that you regularly stay at Marriott properties, I think the fee of £95 that you would have to pay for this credit card is totally and completely justified by getting the Platinum status with Marriott. But moving on from all this status stuff, this credit card also gives you 2 Marriott Bonvoy points on every pound that you spend on any purchases, and then you get 6 Marriott Bonvoy points on every pound that you spend directly at Marriott hotels, which means paying for your stays as well as paying for hotel services such as the on-site restaurant. Moreover, this card is currently offering a 40,000 Marriott Bonvoy points welcome bonus if you spend £3,000 in the first 3 months with this card. Be aware that this bonus is a limited time offer, and you're only going to get it if you apply for the card before November 14th, and then after that it is likely to revert back to its normal amount of 20,000 Marriott points, which is how much Amex normally offers on this card. But how much these points are actually worth? Well, that depends on how you spend them, and the most obvious way to spend them is on free nights at Marriott hotels. So let's take a look at that. Marriott uses dynamic award pricing, which means that the more expensive the room is using cash, the more expensive it's going to be using points. However, there is a direct dependency, which means there is still a lot of room for finding good deals and getting outsized value out of your points. And I'm going to try and give you a couple of examples right now. For instance, a weekend at the Moxie Hotel in Amsterdam this November would set you back 25,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. And at the same time, if you were to book the same room using cash, you would pay £143. This gives us a value of £5.7 per 1,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. Alternatively, same dates but in Dubai, this resort in Palm Jumeirah is going to set you back 37,000 Marriott Bonvoy points, while the cash rate for the same is £230. This means that you would be getting a value of £6.2 per 1,000 Marriott Bonvoy points, which is even higher than our previous example in Amsterdam. Finally, a night next summer in this West End resort in Spain can be had for 38,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. However, the cash price for the same room is almost £400, which gives us a really good value of £10 per 1,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. So in general, you should aim to get anywhere between 5 and 10 pounds of value per 1,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. This means that if you have 40,000 Marriott Bonvoy points to spend, you should aim to get from 200 to 400 pounds worth of hotel stays. But again, due to Marriott having dynamic pricing, this value is not guaranteed, and it means that you will need to shop around and potentially be flexible with your dates in order to get the maximum value out of your points. On the plus side though, it also means that you can get even higher, and actually much higher than £10 per 1,000 points if you manage to find the right dates and the right property. And actually, if you are part of Marriott Bonvoy and you spend your points on hotel stays, do let me know in the comments what kind of value you usually get out of those. And now I want to briefly briefly mention two more features of this credit card before we move on to discuss the non-Marriott benefits. So firstly, if you spend £25,000 on this card in one membership year, you're gonna get something that's called a free night award, which means you can get one free night at any Marriott Bonvoy property. There is a huge caveat here. The price of your free night is capped at 25,000 Marriott Bonvoy points, and this kind of restricts you to mostly just budget Marriott hotels. To be honest, this restriction seems ridiculous given how much you have to spend, and that is £25,000 in order to trigger this benefit. However, it's not so bad because recently Marriott introduced the ability to top this up with an additional 15,000 Marriott points from your own balance, which means that you can take this free night certificate at 15,000 points or up to 15,000 points if you have them in your balance, and use it to get a free room that costs up to 40,000 Marriott points, which unlocks a lot more hotels. Finally, one last benefit of this card is that if you book 2 or more consecutive nights at a Ritz-Carlton or St. Regis property, you'll get a $100 credit to be used on the hotel services. However, do bear in mind that St. Regis and Ritz-Carlton are part of what Marriott calls luxury brands, and the stays at these hotels can be quite expensive. For example, in London, prices at luxury Marriott properties often exceed £1,000 per night. And also, a lot of these St. Regis and Ritz-Carlton properties are already part of the Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts program, which means that if you have an Amex Platinum card and you use it to book those properties, you'll also get the $100 credit to be spent at the property. But in addition to that, you'll also get free breakfast, 4 p.m. guaranteed checkout, and a room upgrade subject to availability. I actually have a one-night stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Doha coming up at the end of November, and I did book it using the Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts program. So once the stay is complete, I'm going to post a video review here on the channel, and I'll also tell you guys if I got all the Fine Hotels and Resorts benefits during my stay. Alright, those were all the Marriott related benefits of the Marriott Bonvoy credit card from American Express. So what else could it possibly offer that would make it interesting outside the use case of just staying at Marriott hotels? Well, the thing is that when it comes to Marriott Bonvoy points, they have a lot of transfer partners. Specifically, you can take your Bonvoy points and transfer them to over 40 different airlines, meaning that you convert your points into the frequent flyer miles of a given airline. For comparison, Amex membership rewards only have 13 airline transfer partners. So for someone who lives in the UK, Marriott Bonvoy becomes the only way to earn points from credit card spend with some of those airlines. For instance, last year I needed some Turkish Airlines miles in order to get a redemption flight from London to Istanbul because the cash prices were ridiculously high and I was booking last moment, and surprisingly, there was availability using points. And at that time, I discovered that the only way to get Turkish Airlines miles, if you live in the UK, is to transfer them from Marriott Bonvoy. The main question here is, at what rate would you be converting your Marriott Bonvoy points into airline miles? So as I said earlier, the credit card that we're reviewing today gives you 2 Marriott Bonvoy points for every pound that you spend. And then these 2 points can be converted into airline miles at the rate of 3-to-1, which means that 2 Marriott Bonvoy points are going to give you 0.66 airline miles. And that brings us a rate of 0.66 miles per £1 spent on this credit card. This can actually get a little bit better because Marriott Bonvoy also offers you a bonus. When you exchange your Marriott points into airline miles in the increments of 60,000 Marriott Bonvoy points, you're going to get a bonus of 5,000 airline miles with whichever airline you are converting your points to. If you account for this bonus, the rate that we calculated earlier goes up to 0.83 miles per £1 spent, and you can choose from 40 different airlines. Is this a good rate? Well, if you're earning Avios, this is a terrible rate because in the UK we have multiple credit cards that are free and that are going to give you 1 Avios per £1 spent. However, if you need something more exotic, like for example when I needed the Turkish airline miles, then 0.83 miles per pound spent may be considered a good rate, mainly because of the lack of alternative ways to earn those miles. Or are there actually alternatives? Could you actually earn more than 0.83 miles per pound spent while still being able to convert to over 40 airline programs? Well, you actually can. And that is due to the fact that Marriott Bonvoy is also a transfer partner of Amex membership reward points. What this means is that if you take, for instance, the Amex Gold card, the Amex Gold earns you 1.5 Amex membership rewards per pound that you spent on it, and then you can convert those 1.5 membership rewards into 2.25 Marriott Bonvoy points and then 2.25 Marriott Bonvoy points are going to convert into 0.93 miles with over 40 airlines, as I mentioned before. Do bear in mind that the 0.93 miles figure already accounts for the bonus that you get from Marriott when you convert in the increments of 60,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. I do appreciate that all of this is a little bit complicated, so the brief summary is that you can use your Marriott Bonvoy credit card from American Express in order to earn frequent flyer miles with over 40 airlines across the world at the rate of 0.83 miles per £1 spent. However, you can use the American Express Gold credit card to increase this rate even further to 0.93 miles per pound spent. And while this is a terrible idea if you're looking to earn Avios, because Avios can be earned at a much higher rate in the UK, it is actually kind of a good deal if you want to redeem with a different airline that doesn't offer a dedicated credit card here in the UK or doesn't have a direct transfer partnership with Amex. And by the way, if you're interested in the Amex Gold card, it is also currently running a limited time promotion with an increased welcome bonus. To learn more about this card, you can check out this video where I review it in detail. And that is all for today. Thank you very much for joining, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next videos.